Hey everybody, and welcome back to What's Dylan Doing. It's a show about things that I've got going on in my life. Yes, I've changed my shirt. Yes, it's because my tummy was poking out during the intro. That's a fat guy problem, right? You just kind of reach up and your tummy hangs out of your shirt. But that's why I switched to True Classic Tees. True Classic Tees. No, I'm just kidding. Not sponsored. Probably never will be. That would require people to watch my videos. No, but for real, you guys, I'm in my new house. We bought a house. And I'm not going to go deep into that right now. I'll give you guys a tour at a later date. But today I'm on a time crunch and I'm working on the Potter House project. I will apologize in advance because the house is pretty empty, and even though I've got my microphone hooked up, it's going to be pretty echoey until I get it filled up. But we're going to be working on the Potter House project today. I don't know how it's going to go. I'm aging and distressing the ceiling that I just recently painted. I hung up some, what's that stuff, crown molding in the living room, painted the ceiling. I'm going to try to match the Borgin & Burke's interior store paint. There's like a cream color on the ceiling and it's covered in like disgust. And then the walls are like a deep gray taupe color, and then all the trim is black. Here's some reference photos so you can see what I'm talking about. Click, 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 click. Looks pretty cool, right? I don't know what I'm doing. There's a lot of water and paint and spray bottles. I'm just gonna go right at it and we'll see what happens. Hopefully I don't set my house on fire, but I've taken some precautions, taped off quite a bit of stuff, light switches, outlets. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna spray a bunch of paint all over the ceiling and hope for the best. I got a few different techniques I'm gonna try out, but enough jibber jabber. Let's get to it. Oh, all right, you guys, this is what I'm working with. I got like a compressed air thingy. I used to use this to spray down the crested gecko tanks before I got an automated system. And then I got a tried and true traditional spray bottle, both of which are filled with paint. This one is a burnt umber and water mixture. This one is a burnt umber and leaf green mixture. And I got some sponges. You can see that little blue sponge there. And you know, I thought I'd be smart, so I painted a piece of scrap wood that I had sitting around, and I was like, I'm gonna run some tests on this and try to achieve the look I'm looking for. And yeah, I don't know. You guys, if you're new here, this is what I do. I try to do things professionally, but I'm not a professional. I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants and hope that everything works out. And usually it does. Sometimes I gotta go back and do it a couple more times, but that's how I do it. That's my method, and it's worked out pretty good so far. So I should give you guys a brief rundown of the work that I've done in here so far, because you've never seen it. But I'll try to keep myself from spewing on about every single idea I have for this room and all the work that I have ahead of me. I tend to do that, so if I do start rambling on, just let me know and I'll shut up. The ceiling is done. At this point, I added all of this crown molding, which I use that term loosely because it really is baseboard. Because crown molding, when you buy it, traditionally comes at like an angle, so it creates this like angled transition from the wall to the ceiling. But that is out of my range of expertise. So that's done, and as you can see, it is freshly painted, this nice cream color, but I can't leave it like this because that's not how it looks. That's not what I'm trying to mimic. I did have an issue in this corner, as you can see from these like streaks on the wall, because I was like using my rubber mallet trying to to get it higher up, because this piece over here sits higher than this piece because the ceiling kind of like slopes down right there. This house is very, very old. We're talking like close to 200 years old. So the ceiling and the walls, they're not perfect, but I don't know, enough spackle, enough caulk, trim caulk, it all looks pretty good. But I gotta age it and distress it and make it look gross. And then I've got my chandelier installed, which is also gonna be a lot of work, but I won't get into that so I don't start rambling on. You can see that I've already started painting the trim and the doors this black color, and I did that before we moved in. We had the keys a couple weeks before we moved in, and I was trying to get as much work done on the house as possible before that move-in date. And I started, and then I had to stop because I wanted to. My biggest issue was the kitchen floor. The kitchen floor was horrendous, so I had to lay this new floor, and I built some furniture pieces, but I'll get into that at a later date. So I did have to stop painting the trim, and I'm kind of glad I did, because afterwards I decided to add these like little decorative elements. There's like a little ledge there and a little cute little wood piece. I did the same on the door here. This is gonna lead into our dining room. And then I added this casing across the top of the door. I did the same on the front door. And then the entryway to the kitchen was just a flat opening, and I added this casing along the sides and this piece across the top. And this big blue blob here is the television. I did mount it in front of the window. There will eventually be some curtains there. And you guys have seen in past videos what the entertainment stand will look like. So I think with the curtains behind it and the sconces on either side, it's gonna look pretty cool. Yeah, see, I'm already rambling. This is professional here, you guys. Check this out. It's a loose piece of plastic and some blue painter's tape. And you don't wanna do too much painter's tape because painter's tape is like $9 a roll now. Way to go, inflation. This is how the professionals do it. Very little tape, some plastic from the trash. I think it's gonna work out. But anyway, any hoozle, I'm gonna get to spraying all this stuff at the ceiling. I'm gonna be covered, the floor is gonna be covered, everything's gonna be covered in brown speckled paint. It's gonna look like I just set off a paint bomb in here. But fingers crossed, hopefully this all works out. Okay, you guys, so we're like a fourth of the way through painting the ceiling, and it's turning out decent. It's turning out pretty good. I'm not ready to repaint the ceiling and start over again, which is better than I thought it was gonna be at this point. I don't know if I can get me and the ceiling in frame. The issue that I'm having right now is you can see where I'm working in patches. So you can see where I've done the corner and then started on the other part. And I wish that I knew a way that was better to make it a little more seamless, but I don't know, I'm working in patches because I'm only one dude. If I sprayed the whole ceiling and then 13 other me's were on a ladder with sponges sponging it, it would look a lot more uniform. But unfortunately, it's just a little old me, and I'm not able to do that. So I gotta figure that part out. I think maybe once everything's dry, if I go back over some of the seams with like a damp, like washcloth, and remove some of the paint in those areas and just kind of spread it out a little bit, it'll be okay. But that is something I'm going to have to look into. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do. So my original bottle of paint that I was spraying with ran out, and I had to mix a new bottle. And the problem with doing stuff like this is there's not really a recipe for it. You don't have like a measuring cup and you measure how much brown paint and measure how much green paint. That would be very difficult. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And of course, the second bottle that I made was lighter. The original bottle was more of a dark brown, and now this is drying more of a tan, which is okay. It's created more variations, more seams across the ceiling, but it doesn't look bad. It looks natural. And I only have the back half of the room behind me to do yet. So I'm thinking right now, I'm gonna stop and put more brown into this spray bottle and do the back half darker. And maybe the corners a bit darker, because if there is water damage naturally, it starts in the corners of the room and then slowly seeps its way towards the center of the room. I mean, I guess that kind of depends on where you would have a leak in your roof, but that's the look that has started. I mean, like the corners are much darker than the center part of the ceiling, so I think I'm going to continue that. And then after that, I'll probably do some random sprays, so there is some intentional spotting of paint, but I didn't want to do the whole ceiling like that. That's why I've been feathering it with a sponge. But I think after it's all dry, I'll do some intentional rando sprays, and then that'll be it. And then it'll be done for today. I might sit at it, look at it, and change my mind. It's coming together. It's coming together. I can't wait to get the plastic off of the chandelier, turn the lights on, and look around and see what it looks like then. Hopefully, it looks good and I won't have to rewrap the chandelier in plastic and do some more. We'll see. I'm gonna attack this back half really quick and then show it to you guys. I'll be back right now. Just kidding. It's been like 4 days since that last clip. You guys, I finished sponging the whole ceiling, and by the time I was done, I could not move my head or raise my arms. I was broken for the rest of the day and some of the day after that. So I ended up just taking a shower and going to bed. I was exhausted. But that's good because it gave me some time to process what I had done and what my next move was. And like I had shared with you guys, I thought I'd probably go in after I was done sponging and take a damp washcloth to all the seams and kind of spread that around a little bit so it became more seamless. And that worked really good in my favor, because what ended up happening was I took a lot of that sponging texture off of the ceiling and it created this like brown wash over that cream base and ended up looking pretty good. But it needed more. So as I stated, I was going to go back in and spray a bunch of like intentional clusters of paint around the ceiling, which I did, and I ended up going into some of the corners with some darker brown paint and some random blotches across the ceiling. And I just really concentrated in certain areas. And then instead of using the sponge, I took that same damp washcloth and kind of used that, which was good because it wasn't, every time I would dap up with the washcloth, it wasn't the same shape. You know, when I was using the sponge, it was like little rectangles everywhere, but with the washcloth, it was more random. It looks gross. It looks like the ceiling has been leaking for decades and there's dry rot. It looks disgusting. I will say I'm very happy with it. I'm very pleased with it. It's a little flat because I only used brown. I mean, granted, I used some green in that mixture, so it was a little darker here, a little lighter there, but it is kind of flat. So I thought maybe I would go back in with like a dry sponge and some paint, no water in the equation, nothing to thin the paint out, and just kind of do some spotting with the sponge in maybe white or black. I don't know. Give it some dimension. But as of right now, I really like it, and I don't want to screw it up. So I'm going to leave it alone for right now. I think maybe once I get all the trim painted black and get the gray taupe color on the walls, I might have to add some of that dry sponging, but I don't know. If I get everything painted and it looks like it needs a little bit more depth, then I'll probably do that. And I won't have to mask everything off because I won't be spraying stuff. It'll just be me with a sponge. But I'm gonna wait. I also don't want to have to spend the day in bed not able to turn my head. So yeah, as of right now, it's done. And I'm gonna show it to you guys. Do you want to see it? I bet you want to see it. I'm pretty proud of it. Let's check it out. I think I like it. I think I like it. It looks pretty cool. But anyways, that's going to do it for today's episode. This project is now done. As always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing and clicking my bell. But I'm Dylan, and this is what I've been doing. I'll catch you guys on the flippy floppy. Bye.